Must have been sometime in March. Sometimes I'd hear Dad talking to Mom. It seems like it was mostly at night. It was the time when the snow melts in the daytime and then freezes at night. There was a few nights in a row I could hear Dad saying something to Mom. I'd just calm myself down and try to go sleep. But it would seem like I could hear Dad as clear as if we were in a crystal ball or a bubble. He was saying that we'd have to go to Flat, and we would have to go at night. At night? We couldn't see anything. But then I heard the answer. It was when the wolves started howling. And it was why our dogs were not howling. It was not far away. Dad said that it was a scout wolf, and now it was acting as a sentinel wolf. It had found prey and was calling the pack to food. These wolves were starving. There had been plenty for them to eat just a couple years before. Then they had multiplied to offset the balance. And now there were way too many, and they were hunting hard. The airplane was supposed to come and bring us to Holy Cross. This was Iditarod. It didn't seem like we were running out of food, but I remember the dogs were running out. The trouble was, the wolves must be starving. Tracking hadn't been that good either. Now we couldn't wait for the airplane anymore. It would already be too soft for the plane to land on the ice, because the ice was starting to rupture. Mom was not for it at all. She was against it, thinking that the plane would come late in the afternoon when the ice was starting to freeze, and it would be easy to take off then, slick and fast. But Dad said the plane would have been here by now, and that the pilot was trying to tell him something by not being here already. Maybe there was some sort of emergency. Well, Dad said we would get ready and go about 3 a.m. Mom was scared about those wolves. Dad said we couldn't tell the kids, because above all, the kids would have to be quiet. It was Dad, Mom, Eva, Manny, Bing, and me. Bing was the baby. And that's how we rode in the sled, too. So this meant that I would be in front of the sled. Darn! Well, Manny knew how to hitch up the dogs. He always put the harness down in the direction they would be heading. The lead dog would be first, and he would hold the line taut for the other dogs, because he would be eager to get going. He never barked as usual, but came quickly. We loaded up and let him go. It was so fast. We were flying across the tundra. I would turn to see if Mom was watching, but I could hardly see her. I watched the side too. Then I would watch the other side. I didn't even get sleepy like I usually do when we set out on a long journey. It was clear, and the moon was shining brightly. It was cold, and the trees were black looking. The dogs were all running like they knew what was happening. Now, I remember that Dad said if one of the dogs fell, he would quickly cut the dog loose, and we would leave it. If we had the time, but we would have to make the time, because the wolves would stop to eat. They knew we were their next meal. That was why we could hear them every night. They were starving. There was a lot of them. More of them than us. I don't know how it happened, but I did fall asleep. I don't know for how long. Next thing, I woke up wide awake again and remembered what we're doing. Something was in the air, and I knew that the wolves had come. I could feel Dad and Mom. They were alert and watching. I don't know how Mom ever did it. She was watching her side, and I could see them running. It seemed like they were just running. They could see perfectly. They were not hurrying, not looking at us, just running on both sides. And I looked at the dogs. And it seemed like Dad said something about their tails. Their tails went down. They were not doing good. As long as they didn't put their tails between their legs. I noticed their tails were up. And I could see the lead dog's tail. It was not all the way up, but his ears were switching back and forth. He was listening to the front and to the back. And the dogs were all pacing, not galloping, so that was good. Galloping would make them tired soon. And I knew for sure my dad had the gun ready. I've seen my dad shoot before and he drops them with one shot. But which one was the lead wolf? Well, the left-hand side started in, so did the right-hand. And the dogs never varied, they just kept on running. Now, which one was the lead wolf? No shooting until you could tell. They were running like shadows on both sides. Dogs, don't be afraid, don't lay down, don't count. Just keep right on following the leader. I've seen that leader many times. If one of the dogs dropped while he was on the trail, that leader would come back and fight the dog right then and there. Sometimes the other dogs would join in, and Dad never stopped them. If that dog was not good enough to run in the team, he would not survive. If he didn't make the grade, he'd have to be shot. He couldn't have a lazy dog, the one who could learn to get away with laying down. Now I saw why. If the dogs lay down, we could all die. Well, Mom said it was one on the left. She was talking out loud, not shouting, but talking. Because it was too late. They were closing in.
I could use a new wolf hide. Give me a hand.
Lolly, stop.
Dude, what the hell?
Might have got a little carried away.
Can you just stick with the script?
Oh yeah, script. Yeah, here somewhere. Yeah, I just tried to make it a little more exciting.
Just tell the story.
No, it's good. I got it. Yeah, no problem. I just coming right at you. Nick! Daddy, remind me to get more trucks. Thank you. Just like that, it was no longer happening, and the dog sensed it as the wolves fell behind. Like I said, my dad drops him with one shot, and with him around, I don't need a guardian angel, because I already have one. Across the tundra and through the snow. Pretty soon the day was getting a little brighter. We arrived in Flat a short time later without anything else happening. We found out later from the pilot that a woman from Anvik had complications in childbirth, and the plane had to respond to that emergency. Pilot figured that we would just wait or come out. Either way, he'd find out when he was done. Dad sent a telegraph to Bethel from Flat to alert the pilot that we'd come out. They'd talk about it later, and so would I. What a scene, huh? Check this one out. My mom's own beadwork about the very story we're talking about. She got the cabin, northern lights, the cache, the sled, the wolves, everything. So smart. My mamas.